At KidzMatter, our mission is to equip and empower the global KidMin community. That means you. We're so glad you're here. All right. We are live on Facebook with our amazing friends, Scott and Aimee with Planning Center. Scott and Aimee, if y'all want to just share a little bit about who you are, about Planning Center.
My name is Aimee and Scott. I have been with Planning Center for 5 years now. I'm the product manager of our check-ins product. So I'm very in the kids ministry space. And before that, I worked in kids ministry for a long time. Like I think time. What is time? I think it's been like 16 years. It's been a long time. But I still volunteer and all that good stuff. Kids ministry spaces are one of my favorites. So I'm really, really glad to be here today.
Yeah, I'm Scott, and I've been at Planning Center for probably 13 years, I think now, and worked at Logos Bible Software before that. And before that, a couple different churches doing kids ministry, youth ministry, and worship ministry. You know, all the hats that most people end up wearing at a church. So, yeah, that's me.
Amazing. And we're going to cover today like some frequently asked questions, top topics about Planning Center. And we kind of want to assume that you've never heard of Planning Center if you're joining, and you probably have. Okay. But if you haven't, we're going to treat this like it's brand new to you and you are ready to jump in and learn all the fun new things. So, question number one, and we're going to direct this to Aimee, for someone new to Planning Center, what is it and how is it going to help me as a kids ministry leader?
Yeah, absolutely. What is Planning Center is a really big question. But we're going to do our best to just kind of like shove it down into a small answer. At its core, it's a collection of 9 different products that are specifically made to help you do ministry. Like it's built with ministry in mind. And one of my favorite things about Planning Center is that we build it through the mindset of the different ministry roles because we know processes look a lot different from ministry to ministry. Like volunteer onboarding looks pretty drastically different in kids ministry than it does in worship ministry because you need different kinds of things. So we have people who are specifically thinking through those different lenses and trying to build tools that are helpful for the different ministries and different jobs that there are to do around the church. So I'm always really happy to say that it's really built with kids ministry in mind specifically, and we're really thinking through like what jobs you're trying to do and how can we help you accomplish that with as least friction as possible. So it can take care of things like volunteer management, so like scheduling, background checks, check-in, curriculum training, onboarding, anything like that. We've got tools to help with family care. So, like attendance follow up, making sure your families aren't falling through the cracks, first time families, parent communication, things like that. Event management. So, like registrations or VBS or Awana or those like extra events you want to run. If you've got a mom's day out program, we've got tooling to help with all of those things. And then the most important, but for some reason listed last year, is child safety. We have a lot of child safety tools because we know that that's such an important part of kids ministry. We've got secure tags, authorized pickup lists, rosters where you can text parents and see medical notes and all of that kind of good stuff within Planning Center. So pretty much any kids ministry job you can think of, that's what Planning Center can help you with. Is a small answer to a very big question.
Good summary though. Like if you had to narrow it down, you did. And again, if you're out there and you didn't know about Planning Center, like you need to, you really need to. So glad you're joining for the live or watching this later, maybe on YouTube. What makes Planning Center different, Scott? Like what sets it apart from other softwares?
Yeah, I think there's like 4 different things that that I feel like we stand out with. The first is that we are only built for churches. We don't want to build anything for anybody else, and we're going to specifically build just for churches and specifically also for kids ministry as well. So, not meaning we just want to hear from you and not much else on how to make the system a lot better for you too. So that's one. 2 is we have a support team that everybody can access. It's not just like an admin or anything like that. It's a support team that any single person can get to, and we will get back to you with a real human, usually within an hour of in business days or yeah, business hours. Yeah, business time. We got there. All right. And then 3 is we're always improving on things. Always. We just shipped some exciting things last week. And then also we got some fun things next week. And we're always improving. And it's always based on what you're saying to us too. So that's why we love these opportunities to connect with everybody on these things. So, and then the fourth thing is that we're not for sale. And this might only hit some people that know what this is like, but sometimes church management companies want to sell to other people, and this is not something that we're interested in. It's owned by one singular person who wants to do this with their life. So that's what we're here for, and that's really exciting. So yeah.
I love that, and the support is so huge, y'all, if you're listening, we know. I've learned, with, like, the robots on the phone, oh my word, it's so bad, and I just, like, yell at them until, "Give me a human!" So y'all are doing that, you're giving a human, and that's, I think, what we're all wanting is a human that's gonna help us figure things out. What mistakes, though, do you see? Like, when children's ministries are using Planning Center, like, y'all have shared this is really built out for them, but what mistakes are they making when it comes to those?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I think like the sometimes, especially if you're moving from one church management system to another, um, uh, you want to put all of your kids into planning center groups. And that's probably the biggest mistake that we see. Planning center groups is for like small group ministry that really help the members in that group connect with each other. And that's not really children's ministry because they probably don't have a phone, maybe. I don't know. It's all changing. But it's the purpose isn't to connect. So the yeah, so don't put kids in groups, I think is like one of the biggest things. If you are looking for like other ways to like, taking attendance, that's through check-ins and then like sending communication to people that you can be done through people. And also on a Sunday morning, if you might have like small groups during your Sunday, practice. There are ways to organize around that that also doesn't use groups. So yeah, that's probably the biggest mistake I think people make.
That's helpful. I think it is easy for us to look at that and think of, okay, my elementary groups are in small groups, and so-and-so's with Mr. Steve and so's with, Miss Sandy. So helping clarify that is good. And I think if you're joining, this is why these conversations are so important. It's why Planning Center University is so important. I am not good at reading directions. I just dive in and I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. But then you end up, using it a way it wasn't meant to be used. So take the time to join conversations like this, and Planning Center University, all that's going to help. Which kinda leads us, Aimee, what are some of the things that people don't even know Planning Center does? Maybe they've never gone to Planning Center University.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are three-ish main things that come to mind. Probably the biggest one being around our services product. So we have a product called Services. If you're not familiar with the product names, it's the green one, and it's the one that most people are familiar with. Like it was our first product, so we have a lot of churches that like started with services and then have like slowly picked up other products along the way. But it's usually the one that most people are familiar with. However, there are a lot of people out there that think it's just for worship planning or for worship pastors, worship ministry. But there are a ton of tools like jam packed into services specifically for kids ministry. It can help with volunteer scheduling, um, laying out your order of service. So, like if you have a curriculum flow that you have, where it's like, oh, there's game and giving and the object lesson and small group time, and you want to like assign those out to different people. Or different volunteers to do those things. It's got tools to handle that. It can hold your curriculum files so that you can distribute those to your volunteers. There is so much stuff you can do in services. And like I say, volunteer scheduling, but there's like a ton of different little ways that you can schedule. So you can have your A team and your B teams and all kinds of stuff. I could talk about it for a really long time. We have a whole class literally just about services volunteer scheduling. So I always tell people if you're in kids ministry, you should be using services. It's a little underutilized in kids ministry right now, and we want to help people realize that it's for them too. So that's one thing. That's probably the biggest thing. Next one is probably workflows. So we have a feature in People called Workflows, and this is a tool for your processes specifically. Like you think through the kids ministry processes you have that are kind of like cyclical processes that people go through. So like first time guests. And when I say cyclical, I don't mean people are going through it over and over. I just mean like you're needing to put people through it over and over. Just want to clarify that. But like first time guests follow up or making sure families aren't falling through the cracks. Like maybe you have a few steps you go through if you notice somebody hasn't come in a while. Or volunteer onboarding is such a big one, making sure that you've got background checks and that you got them a t-shirt and that you got your interview scheduled, all those steps that go into like getting your volunteers plugged into your classrooms. Workflows can help with that. It's a way to set up steps for those people to move through so that you can track them through the process and know that they haven't missed any steps or missed anything important and that they're not falling through the cracks. Like maybe we just forget to follow up with people sometimes. I do. Workflows help with that. So that's another big one is workflows. And then I think the last one that I would mention is automations. So all throughout Planning Center, we have this really cool tool called automations. And basically what it does is it fires off actions based on activity that people do in Planning Center is like maybe the simplest way to say it. For example, sometimes examples just kind of help land what this does. You can find all your first time guests and then automatically send them an email. Or if you're like onboarding your volunteers, you can use automations to automatically put them on a team and services or automatically set their background check status to clear. Or there's a bunch of different things you can do with automations, but pretty much anything you can do in Planning Center, you can automate. And so I always tell kids pastors, like, if there's manual tasks you're doing in Planning Center, if you ever find yourself being like, oh, I need to remember to go set that person's status to this or change their volunteer status to pending or any of those kinds of things, that should be a little trigger in your mind like, oh, I could probably automate this. There's probably a way to have this happen automatically where I don't have to remember to do it. So that's another really big one that I'm always really excited to tell people about.
What's something you recently shipped that you're excited about, Scott? And I did not know that like you used the word shipped when it came to software. Probably learned something new. But what is
Yeah, that's
something new
true.
that you
Yeah.
recently?
There might be some, yeah, internal baseball. Is that the phrase? But yeah, release, shipped. Yeah, it's all kind of the same. Yeah, I think there's a couple things I could talk about that are exciting. One is that we have a product called Church Center, which is really like what your congregates use to interact with everything in the church. So that's where they give and they, sign up for events and that kind of stuff. Um, we recently released a feature for check-ins that allows you to see the name tag, the security code for all parents all the time, no matter how the kid checked in. So we used to have this, but it only if you like pre-check them in with the app. But now you can have your security badge no matter what with the app, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So two, I think I had three, by the way, that I'm excited
That's
about.
great.
Uh, two is the handling how we handle preschool. And this is specific to churches for sure. There's kind of two ways that we see people wanting to handle. I'm calling it preschool, but more pedantically, it's kids before grades. How do we handle kids before grades?
Yep.
If you're the type of church that wants to control all the different, kind of like level ups with them, then you can create custom grades. We have a bunch of different like pre-K1, pre-K2, pre-K3 if you want to control it that way. So that's one of the answers. But the other answer that we have is like sometimes you want to move people to a different location based on like a milestone, like maybe they're moving from crawling to walking and now they have to physically be in a different location because the room is set up differently. But that's not something you decide. That's something like the parent decides. So we have those two options where you can have custom grades for preschool, or you can have milestones that help get people to the right place. Solving that space, we kind of feel like we recently did, and we're excited about. And then the third one is probably a workflows update, actually. And maybe Amy, if you don't mind sharing an example of a workflow. I know Jennifer asked about that because we could also show this, which would be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Sorry, you mean share my screen, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Verify.
Please.
Yes, I can do that. Here we go. Let's do this one.
And then I could point out something that we just released, which is exciting.
Uh-huh. Maybe this one right here. Doop.
Yeah, so this is a general workflow, and on the left, you can see all the different steps that we have on the workflow. So this is an example where somebody wants to volunteer at the church. So at our church, every one of these steps they can be assigned to a different person. So at our church, we want to send a welcome email first, and then after that, send a background check, and then after that, we do a phone call, and then later, then we do like check background check. So one thing that we recently released is that let's go into number two. I don't know if this is set up, but let's find out together. And we can go to edit step on the far right there. And yeah, what we recently released is this button right in the middle that says skip this step in some conditions. So in this example, we can say skip this step if they already have a cleared background check. right? So because if it's already cleared, we don't. Oh, she's going to do it right here too. That's great. If it's already cleared, we don't have to ask them for a background check. So now it's going to skip that step and move on to the phone call. Yeah.
So cool. Could you do that, like, for ages as well? Like, if, that kind of thing, like, you're setting these parameters, like background checks, and or if this person maybe is underage. That's all really amazing. Simplifying it. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, the skip the step could be almost anything that you can kinda grab a list with in people too, so it's pretty powerful. It could do a lot of really neat things.
Yeah.
All these things. Wow. There's
I
so
love
many
it.
things.
So many things, literally so many. Awesome. Well, those are some really amazing tools, and there it looks like there's some other problem spaces, like you just mentioned. You've kind of solved some of those issues, and I love that, as you've said before, right? That you guys are listening. You're listening to your customers. You're listening to the members who are saying, "Hey, I want this to be fixed." So, what are some of the coming things that you're anticipating, really looking towards? We'd love to help solve this problem.
So many things. But a few come to mind. A couple kind of big ones come to mind. But actually, as I'm just like literally looking down at my desk right now, there is something like small I kind of want to show off that I think is kind of
Please.
neat. First of all, this is my name tag ball. I don't know if you all have one in your kids' ministry, but it's coming along nicely. But that's not what I wanted to show you. Right here, we have recently. Sometimes we get people that write in and tell us that the brother labels that print out from check-ins are just like really big, specifically on like babies, like because they're like it picks up their whole back, and then when we try to tear it off their little onesie, it's like we're like pulling their shirt back, and it's not fun. So we have recently been looking into supporting like a smaller label type, and we've got these teeny little name tags.
Aw.
It's a little 1 inch by like 3 inch. And here's like a little teeny security label that goes with it. I don't know. Anyways, these are adorable to me, and I've just been having all the fun playing with that. That is supported on desktop. We're still working on getting it pushed through to the mobile app, like so for like your iPads and your Android tablets. But if you have a station on a desktop app, that's a new label type that you have an option to print to. So it's the Brother 1201, if you were curious.
Love it.
That's not even really what I want to show you. That was just like a fun, like that's kind of a little sneak preview. Another, probably a bigger one that's coming up. I've got one thing that's like going to release really soon, like within maybe a matter of weeks. And then I've got another thing that we're just more like kind of pie in the sky dreaming about. But it's a space that we're like aware of, and I think it's really neat and exciting. So the one that's like more immediate is within workflows. So Scott just showed you the ability to skip a step based on a condition. So like, hey, if you get here and you're not this age, or you're not, you don't have a clear background check or whatever, maybe the step doesn't apply to you, you can skip it. But we've got another feature coming up soon where you can, on a step, perform an action automatically. So let's say like you're in your volunteer onboarding workflow and you've like skipped a couple steps, but when they get to step 4, I want to send them like once they get past the background check phase in our volunteer onboarding example, just as an example. When we get to step 4, I want to send them the like, hey, welcome to kids ministry. You're approved to serve. Here's what you can expect. We're going to do an interview. We need to get your t-shirt size, all of that kind of stuff. You can automatically send or perform any action, any of that list I showed you. But you can send, like, for an example, an email template as soon as they get to step 4 automatically, and then just bump them on to the next step. So nobody actually even needed to interact with step 4. You could just take an automatic action. You could set their membership type. You could change their volunteer status. You can set custom fields. You could set their grade. I mean, literally anything you can do inside Planning Center, pretty much. You could add them to a services team if you know what team this workflow is for. There's all kinds of things you can do just automatically without even having to visit the step, and then it'll just go ahead and bump them down in the flow. So you can kind of automate some steps, and that's coming out soon. I can't for sure tell you exactly when, but soon, like probably within a matter of a couple weeks. Another one that's more just like a pie in the sky thing that we're kind of dreaming about, and have some pretty neat ideas for that are kind of like starting to take shape. So it's getting really exciting. Is some like live event management tools for check-ins. So like just to kind of lay the groundwork for like why I know kind of the space that we're in is at my church we have a role of somebody who's like kind of out in the hallway, like making sure that all the classrooms, the numbers of our classrooms are good, making sure that we're not going over in any classrooms, going over fire code, making sure that each classroom has enough volunteers, opening and closing classrooms based on if we did have enough volunteers show up to actually open both 2-year-old rooms or whatever the case is. And we have been hearing that we need like some more like kind of high level event management tools, like a place where people can see that kind of stuff at a glance. So we're kind of in that space at my church. We we very silly, we very sillily, I don't think that's a word, but it's silly, so it's fine. Call that person the walkie-talkie madam. But I don't know if your church has one of those.
But do you use that in services? Like, is that their name when you schedule them?
No, but we've joked about it many
I'm
times.
sure.
Like, we should get it on their name tag because it's so aptly describes what's happening. But it's the person out on the walkie-talkie that's just, like, kinda monitoring and, like, moving volunteers around and, like, maybe moving kids from classroom to classroom because they wanted to go to class with their brother today, they didn't wanna go in their class, all those, like, on the fly changes that need to happen. We're looking into some tools, to help, like, see all your classrooms at a glance and easily be able to, like, open and close them, and monitor your capacities and your volunteer numbers and things like that. So that's a space that I'm like, it's up and coming, not in the near future, like the workflow thing, but like soon,
Soon.
but a later soon than the workflows.
But still coming. How many sleeps,
Uh,
right? How many sleeps
Yeah.
today?
Yeah.
So it'll come. It's like Christmas is coming soon. It'll get here.
Yeah. This one's
Both
going to be a lot of sleeps, but
a lot of that's all right.
we're really excited about it.
And these I mean, these are some great tools, and I hope what y'all are taking away, right, is that planning center is constantly upgrading, constantly working to say, "Hey, we hear you, we see you, we know what you need." And like you're hearing from Aimee and Scott, like they've got hands-on experience. They're doing it regularly, right? Amy's at her church every Sunday, helping lead this ministry and be a part and help get it off the ground and make it what God wants it to be. So she knows the front end and the back end of what's needed for something like planning center. So, and that's their heart is to come alongside you as the kids ministry leader and equip. We do want to take, I think, next just a couple of minutes. Anybody in the chat who wants to throw a comment or a question, thank you so much. I know Jennifer had a question earlier, and I know Gina helped me share some links. So thanks, Gina. But anybody on Instagram or Facebook who wants to share a question and or anything else that kind of comes to mind that y'all would want to share. Give y'all a second. I know I've used Planning Center, like I said, for a long time, and it's really cool just to see all the new features you guys have added and the ways that you're fleshing it out. And if you're not, they mentioned services, right? If y'all are listening and you're not using the services feature, I thought it was so great. You can upload your worship videos. So, like, our kids' worship team had access to our services so that they could be practicing at home with their parents. We would upload curriculum to Planning Center so that when volunteers signed in and accepted or declined their serving request, they were able to check out the curriculum for the week. And it was just an easy one-stop shop, so everybody could find what they needed. And that's I know at KidzMatter we've been trying to look and say we have too many software, like too much software. How do we narrow it down? And Planning Center is saying, hey, let's narrow it down. Let's get it all in one spot. So you're not, doing all these subscriptions and all these different things across the board.
Yeah, and I think that makes like the biggest difference with the volunteers too, because oftentimes, like, if they have to try to figure out where you're communicating, was that an email or was that a text or was that on WhatsApp or did I get a carrier pigeon for that? It's like if all of that was always one spot, I think it makes it a lot easier for them to know where to go.
I love this in the chat. Jennifer said, can you come to Michigan and sit next to me and show me everything? Amy sent you a heart. We wish we could. We wish we were able to get there. But
But
I really think you guys will learn a lot from Planning Center University. But any other resources y'all would maybe send Jennifer or anyone else watching to?
yeah, I was gonna say, we would love to be able to come and sit by everybody and show them all of it, but obviously there's only so many of us. There's lots of churches. But I will say the Planning Center University videos really are meant to be like a live walkthrough, just like we would be sitting with somebody showing them exactly how it works. So like that really is a good resource. We've recently kind of changed the format to be more like bite-sized chunks so that they're a little easier to like just like, hey, today I want to learn about workflows. Let me just watch a little video about workflows and we update them all the time. So they always reflect the newest whatever features are in there at the time. I will also say though, like sometimes you just have a bunch of questions and it's easiest to talk it out. You can schedule a call with our support team. So you can, if you go into Planning Center in the top right hand corner, there's a question mark and there's a way to schedule a Zoom call. So if there is something where you're like, hey, I've been working on this, watch the videos, it's still not clicking, or like I'm trying to set it up for a very specific use case. A lot of our support team actually has experience working in churches and they probably know what you're trying to do and could offer some advice too. So I always tell people like don't be shy about reaching out to support. It's not just for like if you run into like tech problems, it's also for brainstorming, problem solving. You can open a ticket and be like, "Hey, here's what I'm trying to do. What's the best way to do that?" And they would be more than happy to walk you through and help you. We've got some really wonderful people staffed over there. But
Yeah. Also, both Amy and I will be at the KidzMatter conference,
yeah,
later, so if you wanna bring your laptop and just have a conversation then too, we'll be there.
Listen, that is a great opportunity. And I know y'all usually lead some breakouts, have some opportunities for training. So, yes, if you are not coming, it's a free plug. Come to the Kids Matter conference. Ticket prices actually go up next week. So, y'all need to get your tickets before next Friday. All right. I know y'all be stressing me out because last year people are like, I don't know. I guess I'm going to come. It's like 2 weeks before. I'm like, hello? Like, get your tickets now, book your flights now. Okay. Get your hotel, get your Airbnb. Y'all figure it out. Get planning, okay, with Planning Center so you can come see them at the conference. We absolutely love Planning Center. Their booth is always so fun. They have these famous socks. Are y'all bringing the socks?
oh,
Yep.
always.
Yeah,
Yes.
Good.
and we try to have a different, pattern each year too, so,
Okay.
um,
That is
see
so
what
Yeah,
our
we
yeah.
we have a new pattern from last year and it's cute.
I'm very excited. Okay, so
I'm
y'all
biased, but I think it's real cute.
y'all come get your socks. All right. Come get the socks. It's going to be great. You don't want to miss those. But Scott and Amy, thank you guys so much. And this will be available on our YouTube channel. And I would recommend y'all go subscribe to Planning Center's YouTube channel. Then you'll get notifications when they post new trainings, new videos. That's a great way to connect with them. But don't be afraid to use the support button. Don't be afraid to utilize those Planning Center University videos and make the most of the software. You're not going to want to miss out on all the cool features. So thank y'all for joining us today.